Thank you, Mr. Chairman. And I thank our witness. I actually want to pick up here where my colleague, Representative Costa, left off things. And talking about needless firings and rifts, Maryland's no stranger to the Trump administration needlessly firing people. We've lost 25,000 hardworking, dedicated, and talented employees in Maryland who were needlessly fired last year.
If you want clear, no-nonsense breakdowns of what's really happening in Washington, hit that like button and subscribe right now. Because what we're about to watch is another heated moment where the narrative doesn't quite match the facts. Today, a Democrat congressman is sounding the alarm over mass firings tied to the Trump administration, claiming thousands of workers were needlessly pushed out. But when you look closer, the story gets a lot more complicated.
But I want to focus more on your area of expertise, Mr. Evans, because I do want to follow up and understand why, Undersecretary Evans, the department justified rifts across code skills while there are hundreds of FSOs in that same wide variety of skill sets available. I want to understand how we justify the massive taxpayer expense of the recruitment, security clearances, and training for new FS hires when 250 fully trained, cleared, and ready-to-work officers are immediately available. And in your own words today, your own testimony, you said that as an field FS generalist, you were, quote, able to reach across the span and do everything. So why weren't these existing officers able to go after these new opportunities?
Well, as we went through the reorganization, we determined that there were some functions that the organization was performing that were not aligned with our current priorities.
Sure,
so
that's fine, but these are generalists. They should be able to apply for new opportunities, right?
We eliminated those positions, and in the process of doing that, we eliminated the personnel that were in those positions.
Without any opportunity to apply for other openings that you've now hired for?
At that point, yes, and we haven't refilled.
But why
those
did you do
positions.
that?
Those positions that we eliminated were eliminated. We did not refill those positions.
But you've hired new FSOs since. Why weren't the existing officers who've already gone through the training, the security clearance, allowed to apply for those new positions?
We were bringing in new FSOs because that is the important pipeline whereby we continue the Foreign Service moving forward. We need to be bringing in new personnel at the bottom of the pipeline. We had a situation in a previous administration where we stopped hiring, and it created a hole in the middle ranks of our service, and we're working to fill that by bringing in the new personnel and pushing those folks up through the system.
So it has nothing to do with the latest update to promotion and tenure where the State Department added hiring questions designed to measure, quote, patriotism and evaluation criteria based on fidelity?
No, sir.
Because I think these changes can undermine the Foreign Service's nonpartisan foundation and threaten that merit-based system that has long defined professionalism. What's the intent, then, for the department with these recruitment changes? What does it seek to remedy?
What we're working on is making sure that we have the best people that can perform in a merit-based system and that can represent the United States overseas. That's it. Who can exercise good judgment. As I mentioned earlier, the key factor for a Foreign Service officer is judgment. So we're looking for someone to come in that has judgment, and then we can train them on the other things that they need.
Let me ask you this. Do you look at applicants' political donations or political statements on social media as a factor into the hiring process in any way whatsoever?
I do not believe we do that now.
Okay. Again, I think my colleague was right here. It is sort of mind-boggling to me that we have dedicated public servants who have given their lives, and as best I can tell, have zero performance issues. And we're going to go through both the time and the expense of having 250 fully trained, capable, able, ready-to-work officers ready for immediate assignment, in your own word, generalists who can do just about anything, and we're going to have them continue to sit in purgatory, while we're also changing our hiring process to now include things like patriotism, however that's defined. I will have my office follow up more. I'd love to learn more about this. It seems like it's not in the best interest to have folks who have been seasoned experts in the foreign affairs space to be sitting on the sideline. And it's my hope that we can get those folks back out there. I'm all for new talent and bringing folks in as we continue to support the service, but it feels more like a purge of folks, and I have to wonder why. With that, I yield back.
In this hearing, Representative Olszewski claims that 25,000 workers in Maryland were lost due to firings, framing it as reckless and unnecessary. Now that's a serious claim, but here's where things start to shift. The questioning turns toward the State Department, specifically why layoffs happened while trained Foreign Service officers were still available. The argument: why spend taxpayer money hiring new people when experienced personnel are already trained, cleared, and ready to go? Fair question, but the response from the witness points to something bigger: government restructuring. Positions weren't eliminated because people were unqualified. They were eliminated because the roles themselves no longer aligned with current priorities. And that's the key point the media often skips. Government isn't static. Priorities change. Missions evolve. And when they do, the workforce has to adjust with it. Now here's where the debate really heats up. Olszewski suggests this looks like a purge, that experienced workers are being sidelined while new hires are brought in under updated hiring criteria, including vague terms like patriotism. That sounds alarming at first, but let's break it down. The official response is clear. Hiring is still based on merit, judgment, and the ability to represent the United States effectively overseas, not political donation, not social media posts. And let's be honest, every administration, left or right, reshapes agencies to reflect its priorities. That's not new. That's governance. What we're really seeing here is a clash of perspectives. One side sees waste and unfair treatment of experienced workers. The other sees long-term planning, bringing in new talent to avoid gaps in the system down the line. And if you've followed government hiring cycles before, you know that pipeline issue is real. Pause hiring too long, and suddenly you've got a leadership vacuum years later. So the real question isn't just why were people let go. It's what direction is the government trying to move in. At the end of the day, this hearing wasn't just about firings. It was about control, priorities, and the future of U.S. institutions. And these are the kinds of decisions that shape policy for years, not just headlines for a day. If you want more breakdowns like this, where we cut through the noise and focus on facts, make sure you like this video, subscribe to the channel, and stay tuned. There's a lot more coming that you're not going to hear anywhere else.